scout the location, especially if you've never done it before. Go to the location, check for lighting, and go to the location at the same time as the time you will be shooting, so you can sort of guess what the lighting condition is going to be. And then what you can do as well is you start to look at some possible locations that you will be shooting at, because then that will give you the best opportunities for you to know what you can do during the day. Look for a background that gives you a good sense of place, because one of the best things about doing a live cross is to give people the sense that they're there with you. So if you don't have a background that doesn't really show that sense of place, then I think you're missing the opportunity to give people the sense of what it's like to be out there reporting and telling the story. However, if you have to choose between clarity and an amazing background, then choose clarity. Don't be in a busy place where people are not going to be able to hear you. So choose a good background, but then listen to the noise level around you. If it's too noisy, find somewhere else. Or if it's too dark, find somewhere else. So yeah, a background is really important to give that sense of location, sense of place, to give the sort of that sort of energy. But I think clarity is more important. Most important thing is we want to see the reporter's face, or if you have a guest, then the reporter's and the guest's face. So if you are shooting, if you are the one shooting the footage, then what you need to make sure is that the reporter's face is clear. There's no shadows on the reporter's face. So I think that's one of the things that you need to think about. Make sure that the light on the reporter's face is clear, but not too bright. So not too dark, not too bright. Face is really clear. That's the most important thing. The main thing is it needs to be stable. So it can be a tripod, it can be a rock, it can be whatever you can use to make sure that the shot is stable. This is something that I like to use. If you're using a mobile phone, this is a gimbal, a stabilizing gimbal. If you have one of those, it's kind of fun to use. If you have a small tripod like that, it's also quite good to use. So because these days people actually use selfie sticks as well, for example, to stabilize their mobile phone. So whatever you do, you can use a tripod, you can use a stabilizing gimbal, you can use a selfie stick, as long as what you're shooting is the most important thing is stability. Most smartphones come with earphones with a microphone. So what you can do is use that. Then of course the problem is whether the length of the cable is enough. So what you need to do is check using your earphones whether you can record using the microphone on your earphones. If it's not long enough, then buy an extension cable, but you have to make sure you get the right extension cable. If you're using an iPhone, that's particularly tricky because they have different needs. So make sure that you are getting the right cables and make sure that you test it before you go out there. Don't just buy an extension cable and hope for the best. Test it. It'll be very tricky if you don't have a microphone that you can connect to your phone. So for example, you can buy an extension cable, like a dongle that goes into your iPhone and to a microphone that you can hold. Otherwise, what you can do is maybe use the same trick using the earphones, but make sure that you're not rubbing the microphones too much, because you'll be holding the little microphone that's attached to your earphone and just moving it from you and to your talent. But just make sure that you're very stable and you're not rubbing too much, because that will be really loud for the people in the studio. A pre-record would be much better. The key here is ask the producer. Always update the producer. If they say, yep, send us a pre-record, then do that. If they say, no, we want live crosses, then do that. If you are sending a pre-record, then basically just make sure that you are sending the right format, the file format for your producer. Ask them what file format they need. And I think communication is key. When you're doing a live cross, you need to know who to call, who to contact, and if your producer says, use this file format, use that file format. Don't use anything else. Pre-shoot, make sure that you recharge your phone. Make sure that you also, because there'll be the two of you doing the story, you it's going to be helpful if your helper, if your assistant also has a phone that you might be able to use. Make sure their phone is charged. Make sure you have a power pack with you. Make sure that there's going to be, when you're scouting the location, make sure you check the signal as well. Because you don't want to go to a location and you only have 2G instead of 4G, for example. And also warm up before you shoot, and just talk to people, limber up a little bit. But in terms of the technical things, make sure you've got all the right tools, make sure you've got the right equipment, test all the equipment. Even before you go, test your phone to try to record and just do what you need to do. Skype as well, practice with Skype. So practice everything before you leave, just to make sure that you're comfortable with your tools. So that's pre-shoot. During the shooting, I think one of the things that you need to be aware of as well is your safety as well. Don't just put a camera on a tripod or your mobile phone on a tripod and leave it, for example. That's not only endangering yourself and endangering your phone, it could endanger other people as well. So just always be aware of what's happening around you. Framing, think about framing very carefully. One thing that I often see with student journalists is they put too much headroom because they want to show that, oh yeah, there's a sign or something. Just use your traditional, medium shot waist up to about here. Don't put too much headroom, and just have fun as well.